We're rolling, eh? Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to another session of the Playhouse. Yeah, unaweza piga nduru. As you can clearly see, I have been reading your comments and I am here to serve you. You've asked for the man Paka. I was telling him right now that he has called his people. He's called his Mafan squad to come and request for him on the Playhouse. And he's like, bro, I haven't called nobody. It's just the love that the fans are showing. Me and this homie go way back. In the music industry, there's nobody who I go way back like with the gentleman that I'm about to have a conversation with. This guy is a trendsetter, he's a noise maker, he's a mover, he's a shaker, he's a crazy celebrity. And on top of that, I know him from a different life. He's just an amazing human being. And beside the celebrity, you're going to be hearing about his holistic journey and the amazing human being that he is. Not just the music. Of course, we're going to definitely concentrate on the music because that's the core of what we do here. But you're going to truly know Jackso, aka Prezzo, by the time we're done with this interview. I told him I'm about to make him a celeb, man. So anyway, nimebonga excess. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, put your hands together for none other than Jackso, aka Prezzo.
Let's go. My fans me now up in the wall. Now up in the wall. Damn, my haters kama mnipendi. Kuleni sembe meza wembe na wapa life kama saida karole. Na wenye wivu wajinyonge. My fans me now up in the wall. Now up in the wall. Damn, my fans. Let's go.
Oh, maze club imebamba. Rona kuambia leo ndio leo. Oh, madem wamenolika wote na waona wakikatika. Oh, ngoma imetushika mpaka sisi wote tunawika. Oh, ngoma imetushika mpaka sisi wote tunawika.
Prezzo, I'm still heavy up in this game. Bado na wakilisha. Yeah, come on. You heard about Prezzo. All eyes on me. Prezzo. You better act like you know. Prezzo. A homeboys production. Women is CMB Prezzo. Women I walk up. Women is CMB Prezzo. Na let us show. 7-2 looking for my name for Jack. Toka Kenya hadi Bongo na leta action. Mamazi wakiulizwa what I mention. CMB president up in your residence. Looking for my name for Jack. Toka Kenya hadi Bongo na leta action. Mamazi wakiulizwa what I mention. CMB president up in your residence.
Siku moja zamani alinika, niko busy kwenye kana katika. Nimetega sikio kwenye speaker, sina muda na mtu hata dakika ati.
Sorry tukutane please hold town.
Huku wananiangalia up and down.
Can I please write your number down?
Okay, come, let's get down.
Boss, budget here is tight as you can see. So sound effects ni mimi. Hey, Prezzo, yani even calling you Prezzo feels it feels weird, but I'll start there, man. Give honor to where it's due.
Yeah.
Prezzo, thank you so much for coming onto the Playhouse.
Absolutely.
This was supposed to happen before, but it didn't happen, but it's happening now. God's timing.
Absolutely.
So let me stop wasting time. The first question I love asking people on this show is, when did you fall in love with music?
For me, I fell in love with music in the mid-80s, because we're living in Isli. So in Isli, there was a lot of the neighbors there, whenever the parents would go to work, the neighbors would just blast music, So it was something that was there, and then, there was this movie called Breakdance. I don't know if you remember it. But yeah, breakdance now is what actually put the stamp, for my liking in music. So we're talking about like 85 henceforth.
Yo.
Yeah.
That's okay. Let's get some context on Prezzo. Where do you have any siblings?
Yeah.
Okay, tell us a little bit about that side.
Yes. Well, everybody knows that I was raised by a single mother. I have 2 sisters and 1 younger brother, who I think is even more famous than me. You know, a lot of people know Filippo because of his shenanigans and his antics. But yeah, you know, in a nutshell.
And you're the firstborn?
I'm the firstborn. I'm the firstborn, then I have a sister, Kole, and then I have Mata, and then Filippo is the Kitinda Mimba.
Were you born in Isli?
Yeah, I was born in Pumwani, born and raised in Pumwani.
I've heard that lyric in one of your songs.
Yeah, I was born in Pumwani. I lived in Isli since 1980 to 1990. So I guess, you know, the environment there wasn't doing it for us. You know, when I say us, I mean my mom and I, because, you know, in Isli, people get into so much mischief, you know. And at the same time, I remember my dad got some cash, some liquid cash. You know, nobody's ever had this story before. So he came home very high beat. You know, he came home and he said, I got this money. He told my mom, I got this money. Tomorrow I'm going to buy a Benz. So my mom looked at the guy. So I was mad excited, because you can imagine, like, you know, as a youngin, as a boy, like us buying a house or a car, I'd definitely pick a car. And you know, that car being a Benz, I didn't even want to think twice. So my mom gave my mzee an ultimatum and told him, either you buy this car or you buy a house, or you can kiss me goodbye. Because even if you buy that car, chances are likely you'll find the car on top of stones, you know, because of the neighborhood that we're staying in. So with that said, you know, my dad had no option but to move us on to Langata, you know.
and that's when you left now Isli.
That's now in 1990s when we left Isli. And at this time, you know, like...
Primary school, at this time, where have you gone to?
Primary school, I went to a school called Khalsa. It's actually called Khalsa Girls. It's called Khalsa Girls, but that was a high school. You know, the high school was a girls' school only.
Okay.
But then primary, like there was Khalsa Primary, but they never included that. So it was just called Khalsa Girls. So you'd go from class 1 to class 8. And then from there, if you're a lady, if you're a girl, then you move on to the secondary. So that's where I studied when I was in Isli.
And Khalsa Girls is in Isli?
Khalsa Girls is in city center. It's near Karimiti. What's that? Karimiti.
Oh.
Karimiti, is it called Karimiti? The Soko.
Okay. Kiriamiti. Yeah, Kiriamiti. Hey, yes. You've moved on up, you've forgotten those pronunciations. Eh?
Kiriamiti, bro. It was close to Kiriamiti, you know. And yeah, so when I was in Isli, you know, when we moved to Langata, then my dad also upgraded. You know, my mom, they actually say like a woman is the backbone of a family. I really agree with that, because my mom, she said, we cannot live in a house in Langata and yet our son goes to Khalsa Girls, you know. So then again, you know, the mzee was put under pressure, and then they moved me to this school called Langata Junior. Yeah, that's where, you know, I carried on with primary, and then from Langata Junior, I went to Mount Kenya Academy.
No way.
Yes way.
Prezzo, I was in MKA.
I know that.
Okay, hold on. Before we come to MKA, what are you listening to right now?
Well, right now, like, I've been more of like, you know...
And by right now, I'm not talking about 2020. At that time, what kind of music are you listening to? What is inspiring you? Because you've told us about breakdance.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out, at that time, what music now are you listening to?
At that time, I was mostly like listening to soul music, you know. Ain't no romance without fine.
No romance without finance. Okay.
Yeah.
You gotta have a J. Okay.
If you wanna be with, you see, I used to listen to soul music. I used to listen to a lot of Michael Jackson.
Nice.
And on the flip side, I used to listen to a lot of ragamuffin.
Yo.
You know? So this was when I was in Isli. When I moved to Langata, you know, Langata, it was uptown. You know, that's when Langata was Langata, you know. So when I moved there, you know, I met up with a couple of my friends who used to listen to a lot of rap music. And during that time is when now Tupac released that Hit 'Em Up song. You know, so I used to listen to Hit 'Em Up, but Chini ya Maji because
It was crazy.
because of the content, you know. And so one time, you know, like, you know, those errands you can go with your lady. And she said, okay, just wait for me in the car. I'm gonna go into that office and then I'll be back. So I said, cool, no problem. So she walks out, I take my tape, you know, with the Hit 'Em Up, and I start listening to Hit 'Em Up, right? So I listened to Hit 'Em Up, and then when she started approaching after she was done with her meeting, I was trying to eject this thing.
Oh, no.
It's not ejecting, you know. I'm trying to eject it, it's not ejecting. Before I know it, she was already in the car. So, you know, you hear, Jay-Z, Biggie,
Yeah.
Brad Boy as a staff,
Record label and as a crew.
So, you know, the lady asked me, Ngechu, ni nini unasikiliza Ngechu? Nikambia, hata sijui imeingiaje hapo. You know what I mean? But now, that's when now, like, you know, I became a fan of rap music. So
your entry was the Hit 'Em Up. It was Tupac.
it was Tupac, yes. It was Tupac, Dr. Dre, and Snoop Dogg, you know, like the Chronic album had just come out, you know.
Yeah, and before that, Snoop had dropped Doggy Style.
Snoop had dropped Doggy Style, that's right.
Okay, so let's now go into your shocking factor. You went to Mount Kenya Academy. So you leave Langata,
Yeah,
you're
Langata
taken to
Junior.
Central Province, aka Nyeri.
Yeah, Nyeri. Yeah.
Kiganjo.
Yeah, Kiganjo. I'm telling you. How I ended up there was I had these two cousins of mine, cousin sisters. And you know, like during our parents' time, our parents, you know, they used to listen to one another, especially when it came to issues of education. So I'm guessing like in one of the conversations, my uncle told my mzee, you should take Ngechu to Mount Kenya Academy, you know, because that's where Abigail and Jerry are right now, and they're performing very well, you know. So my dad didn't even, you know, my dad was really strict when it came to education. So he didn't think twice. He said, first and foremost, I don't want this guy to be a day scholar, you know. I'd like for him to be in boarding school so, you know, he can just get himself together. So when I went to Mount Kenya Academy, I was around, say, 11 years old at that time. Around 11 years old. And so this one time I called my mzee in the morning. I called him and I told him, listen, I cannot survive with these conditions here. You know, number one, it's too cold for me. I'm not used to this cold, you know. So I said so many things. I said, even breakfast here, we serve breakfast whenever they feel like serving us breakfast. So when my pops had that, you know, he had no choice but to come pick me up. Keep in mind that when I left Langata Junior, my dad didn't even have the courtesy to tell the headmistress that I'm taking this Jama out of the school.
Akamtoa tu.
He just chomored me. So I think when the headmistress asked, we were calling to confirm about Jackson Ngechu, my pop said, no, I upgraded him, you know. Seriously. So I stayed in Mount Kenya Academy for like maybe 2.5 terms, you know. And then I had to come back to Langata now. And Langata Junior was the best school in Langata at that time.
Yeah.
So my pops, you know, he had to bite the humble pie and go back and tell the lady, listen, it wasn't how it came out, you know. Like, just take the guy.
Take the homie back.
Yeah, take the homie back, you know.
Yeah, but let me also protect Mount Kenya Academy. Homie, Mount Kenya Academy is one of the best schools.
It is.
There's nothing like they served you breakfast when they wanted.
Of course.
It was just your hoaxing.
Of course.
So you could get out of Nyeri.
So, of course, I saw I could get out of Nyeri, you know. Other than that, I'll be confusing my L's and R's, you know. You know, I'll be like, hey, blow, mambo blow. So, you know, for just whatever reason, at that particular time, I wasn't feeling Mount Kenya Academy, you know, but then it is a very good school. And, you know, yeah, shout out to my people from Mount Kenya Academy.
So, okay, you come back to Langata Junior.
Yeah, I went back to Langata Junior. And then another bird whispered into my dad's ears and said, listen, this guy, this is not the school for him. Now, my best friend at that time in Langata was called Keith. You know, Keith was my Chanda Napete. You know, anywhere you see me, you see Keith. Anywhere you see Keith, you see me. So Keith, his dad was moved to Nakuru. So when the dad moved to Nakuru, they decided to move Keith into a school in Nakuru called Greensteds. So I didn't mind Greensteds because number one, it was a GCSE school. Number two, I was here in class 6 wearing shorts. And me and Keith were in primary school together. So all of a sudden I see Keith comes and tells me, hey, you guys should come check out my uniform banner. You know, like I moved to this school called Greensteds. So I see Keith rocking trousers. I'm like, bro, how is it that, you know, we're in the same class, but you're rocking trousers? And me
I'm in shorts, niko na mashorts hapa.
The guy told me, you know, this system is very nice, you know, like they moved me from class 6, you go to form 1. I lost my mind. I said, this will draw me even closer to finishing school, you know. So what did I do? I went on a hunger strike. I wasn't eating in the crib because I told my dad, I'm like, I want to go to Greensteds, you know. Then, because my dad wasn't having it, because I've already changed schools in less than a year, you know, so my pops wasn't having it. So I went on a hunger strike, you know, like I wouldn't eat food and stuff like that. So eventually, you know, the guy was like, you know what, doesn't really matter. And besides, this Keith guy, Kiki, is his best friend. So I told Kiki's mom to convince my mom how good this education is and ABCD. And, you know, God always used to work on my favor, you know. Before I knew it, I was told, we're taking you to Greensteds and we want you to read. I'm like, okay, cool, you know. So went, bought the school uniform. I was jazzed because I did away with the shorts. When you ask me, you know, so what form are you in? I'm like, I'm in form 1, you know. So you see, it's something that was going with the age, you know, like. So that's how I ended up in Greensteds.
That time ilikuwa Limuru?
No, in Nakuru.
Oh, Nakuru.
Just
Nakuru.
before Nakuru,
yes,
there's STEM Hotel. Before STEM Hotel was Greensteds. Very nice school.
Okay, let's talk about this because this sounds like your high school. It's Sayuko High School.
Yeah.
So, music, is it playing a part at this time? Are you?
Yeah, very much so. Actually, you know, when I went to Greensteds, we used to have this talent searches, you know, called Mr. and Mrs. Greensteds. Anybody who went to Greensteds with me during that time would be a witness to the fact that each and every talent show, I used to do rap music and I used to win each and every year. Like I'd be Mr. Greensteds this year, Mr. Greensteds the year after that, Mr. Greensteds the year after that. But the difference is I never used to write my own songs. So I remember the one that, you know, I'd prepared for was this time round, and I was doing that Dr. Dre song, Keep Their Heads Ringing.
Ring, ding, dong.
Yeah, ring, ding, ding, ding. You know, I made sure my swag was on point, you know. Like there's no way I could have lost really in those talent, you know, talent searches. So music was still in me. We used to have Walkmans, you know, and the Walkmans, like, you know, you'd have a favorite song, but you can't really afford to rewind with the batteries because you need to save these batteries to push you through up until midterm. So you normally have a biro, rewind, yeah. So, you know, with this song, I did just that. Like, watu walikuwa nafanya prep, mazemi niko hapo, yeah, get on now, you know. So it's something that was in me, and, you know, I was passionate about music. But then in high school, I had like a squad of my people who just loved music, you know, from Ice Cube, Ice-T, NWA, you name them, you know. And then that's when like my love for rap music became even more, you know, because of the people that I was hanging out with. So whenever we'd come back to...
Shout out to some of them.
Yeah, shout out to, you know, Victor Shirima, Robert Migade, you know, my best friend, Keith Simiu, you know, Utulukweni Kerende, Tom Mwalali. There were so many of us, you know, and we just loved rap music and basketball, you know. So that said and done, you know, like, that's when rap music was instilled in my system.
Okay, and at this time, do you know what you want to be, or you're just going through teenagehood?
I'm going through teenagehood.
Okay.
But I always loved, you know, to be a celebrity. I always loved the flashy lifestyle. I always loved the bling bling, you know, and everything that came with it.
Yeah.
You see, I loved music to the extent whereby I knew that one day I was going to be a star. Reason why I'm saying this is you'd find me with a pen and paper, and I'd be scribbling like my autograph, you know, like
Your autograph.
yeah,
Practicing for the future.
Yeah, for the future. So by the time I became Prezzo, you know, it's safe to say that I had very good penmanship because you know, practice makes perfect. So, but at that time it seemed like a dream that wouldn't really come to reality because we didn't have, you know, we didn't have a music industry. The only musicians that we had were these guys who also lived in Langata, and they were called the Mushrooms. You know,
The Mushrooms?
Like, yeah, the Mushrooms.
Whoa.
They were the only musicians in Erikwainaina, you know. So at that time, you know, it was just like, hey, let me just, you know, do this and sambaza my mixtapes to the neighbors. If they ask for an autograph, you know, I've already practiced. So, you know, we're just good to go.
Okay, that's actually a good. Okay, let's move on with the story. So, Greensteds, what's next from there?
So Greensteds,
And you're not listening to any Kenyan at this time?
there are no Kenyan music to be listened
The
to.
Kalamashakas, oh, this time they're not there.
They're not there.
Okay, sir.
You know, they came
After
that.
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
yeah, right. They did come after.
Yeah. So what was your question again?
So what happens after Greensteds now?
After Greensteds, to be totally honest, you know, I got expelled from Greensteds.
To just keep it real, what?
I'm just going to keep it real.
Yeah.
You know, at the end of the day, the truth will set you free.
Yeah, and that's what made you who you are now.
And that's what made me who I am now. So there was this lady, right? This lady, at that time in high school, I was dating a very, very beautiful girl, you know. And when we came for half-term, you know, I convinced some other lady who were in the same school that, you know, I had feelings for her. But in reality, I didn't have any feelings for her. Like, I had feelings for this
The one you're dating?
The one I was dating. So 1 week after midterm, you know, because during midterm, I used to go see this girl. I used to go see her in Village Market, you know, we kick it there, ABC. So she thought maybe when we get back to Greensteds, then situation is going to be like it was. And she happened to be like, you know, a prefect. So when I got to Greensteds, you know, I just had to avoid her by all means necessary. She'd write me, you know, those notes, either I don't reply, you know, because I was feeling like I might reply, and then she takes it to now my main squeeze at that time. So I lingered her for like 1 week, you know, 2 weeks. Then she said, oh, okay, so you want to play that game? That's fine. I'll teach you a lesson, you see. So she went to the headmaster and she scribbled like, you know, some really harsh words on a piece of paper. And she said, you know, the headmaster asked the lady, and her being a prefect, the headmaster asked the lady, so who do you think could be behind this? And the lady, without even thinking twice, she just threw me under the bus. She's like, I think it's Jackson. And, you know, there was already enough mischief.
That you had done.
Yeah, my record wasn't really that clean, you know. So I think the guy took that as an opportunity to tell my moms that, you know, this guy cannot be here no more. So for 1 week, you know, the headmaster just came one day randomly. He came into the class, he looked around, he saw me, and he said, Jackson in my office. This was a Monday. So I went to the office, I'm panicking, I'm trying to collect my train of thoughts. I'm thinking, okay, I haven't been into any mischief lately. Well, at least not in the last 2-3 weeks, you know. So the guy told me, I want you to be here every morning. You're free to break for break time. You're free to break for lunch.
Yo.
And then after lunch, you come back here. When the bell goes off, tomorrow you report, and so on and so on and so forth. So, you know, for me, it was playing tricks on my mind, because I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, okay, why am I here? Like, you know, why is the guy keeping me here? There's no revision, there's no books, you know, he's not telling me like you can study, but study away from the rest. So I just used to go to the office and just chill, you know. He'd ask the secretary, is the guy there? The secretary goes like, affirmative, you know. So when it reached Thursday, I approached the headmaster. I told him, you know, Mr. Morgan, you've kept me in your office for the whole week. You know, I really don't understand. Is this some sort of punishment? So he told me, he's like, no problem. I've spoken to your parents. I've spoken to your mom. She's gonna come by and she'll come pick you up. So when he told me that, my mom was very strict, you know, and I knew, okay, here, straight up and down, I've been expelled.
Yeah.
Either suspension or expulsion. So
yeah.
I asked this guy, I'm like, excuse me, with all due respect, does this mean that I'm expelled? Then, you know, he was a Jungu guy, so he gave me those eyes. He's like, I'm afraid so, Jackson. I looked at the guy. I was like, yo, you're not serious, Mazi. You want me to die, Ama? You know? Because, you know,
Mom's gonna kill me.
Mom's gonna whoop my ass, bro. You know? So the way he was talking to me, you know, it's like how you can go and negotiate for, say, a phone.
Yeah.
And you ask a guy, how much is that phone? The guy tells you a ridiculous price, which is off your budget. You know, anakumaliza ile nguvu ya kubagain. Because if your budget is 10K, he's told you the phone is 60K.
Yeah.
You see that margin? So this guy, the way he had kept me in the office all along, I knew that even if I went down on my knees,
nothing,
the guy wouldn't give in. So I said, okay, cool, you know, at the end of the day, nimeshaingia kwa shimo. So I asked the guy, I'm like, why am I expelled? He pulled out that letter.
Oh, man.
He pulled out that letter. I told the guy, listen, I swear to one God, this is not me. You know, look at my handwriting and look at this. The guy said, I'm afraid, Jackson, you know, I'm sorry. I'm like, but wait, look, I'm sorry. But I said, I'm sorry. So I was like, okay, cool, you know, where's Mungu? At that particular point in time, because, you know, I felt like I'd been framed. I didn't do it. You know, it's one thing when you're blamed for something that you did.
Yeah.
It's another thing when you're blamed for something that you didn't do.
Yeah.
So I said, you know, okay, cool, kesi badai. Now at this point in time, as in meshanza kuambiwa chizi, yo, you know me, I mean, I'm no more in this school. I'm basically a dead man walking. So, you know, if you guys have any souls, nini,
Hook me up.
feel free, Mazi. If there's even prayers, I'd appreciate at this particular moment. So, true to this guy's word, you know, on Friday, my old lady came and picked me up. So, keep in mind, you know, we had just started the term. And now, this was now in 1994. My mzee had already passed away the year before, 1993. So, it was a struggle for my mom. Because, you know, she had to pay school fees. I think Greensteds was like 80,000 a term at that time. But keep in mind that, you know, my mzee was bedridden in hospital for quite some time. You know, he passed away with cancer. So that's the point in time when I knew life is very unfair. Because my mom has to deal with my school fees. I'm not really making the situation any better. Then at the same time, there were lawyers who were calling her from Nairobi Hospital, asking her to pay what she owes them, you know. So at 14 years old, you know, I didn't understand. I said, so why this guy is bothering you, and yet, you know, Mzee didn't even get well, you know, he passed away, you know. So all that trouble and everything, it added to my mom's frustrations. Now here I am being expelled. So when she first came to school, she thought I'll have a one-on-one with this headmaster and I'll convince him, you know, with whatever regulations that they give this youngin, then I'll convince him so that, you know, he can carry on with his education. Now at this point in time, nilikuwa nimeingia form 5. Form 5, no, nilikuwa form 4 naenda form 5. So we had just come from half term. Now my lady had paid the 80K and bought school uniform, let's say give or take like 100 plus, you know. So I'd only done half a term. So this is when I knew my old lady is also G. At first, you know, she told the guy, she's like, Mr. Morgan, just allow the guy to finish, at least even if it's his O levels, you know. Mr. Morgan, again, he loved the word sorry. He just told us, sorry, Mrs. Makini. She's like, but Mr. Morgan, you know, I'm a widow. Sorry, Mrs. Makini. But Mr. Morgan, sorry, Mrs. Makini, that is final, you know, there's no turning back. So my mom's like, oh, okay. In that case, I want my money back, you know, because she's like, you know, I explained to you that I'm a widow and all you can say is sorry. I pay school fees on time. So for me to put Jackson in another school, I need the funds, you know. So this is how I knew Kweli I was so unwanted. You know, the guy said, he didn't even think twice. He said, no problem.
Whoa.
No problem. We'll give you back your school fees, take you to Vamus, you know.
Peace out.
Peace out, Maze, you know. Don't let the door hit you in the ass, you know. So he gave us the school fees. Now, you know, the worst part about studying in Nakuru was that distance. You know, that distance of Chomoken from Greensteds to Nairobi.
2 hours at least.
You're being given a lecture, bro. Clean. You cannot run, you cannot hide. You can't say Tinaskia njaa because you done messed up, you know. So in that whole 2 hours, you know, it was the longest drive from Nakuru to Nairobi. Ngechu, there's nothing I've not done for you, Ngechu. Ngechu, I've done it, Ngechu. Ngechu, you know, I'm like, listen, this I was set up, it's not me. But you see, at that point in time, it was my word against the schools.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, just so that guys know, it's Jackson Ngechu Makini.
Yeah, Jackson Ngechu Makini.
Yeah.
So I remember Yani seeing that sign of saying Karibu Nairobi. I'm just like, whew, it's about time, man.
Yeah.
You know. So my mzee left a very good platform for my mom and myself and my siblings. You see.
When you say he left a good platform, what do you mean?
Like he had left properties, businesses.
Support.
Yeah. So we had a hardware store in Mathare North, you know.
Just even before, can I ask, what's the TZ connection? Is your dad, are both your parents from Kenya?
My mom is Tanzanian. My dad was Kikuyu.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's where the Ngechu comes in now.
That's where.
And also that's where the Msapere hustle comes in.
Yeah, you understand.
I get it, bro.
You know? And actually, Ngechu is actually NGEC''U.
Oh.
It's supposed to be Gesho.
Uh-huh.
So now my mom, you know, she added some flavor to it because of her being Tanzanian. She couldn't say Gesho, you know, so she put the NGECHU, Ngechu,
yeah.
which sounds pretty cool if I do say so myself.
And we'll talk about the number plates thing back in later on. But anyway, so let's go to Mathare North now.
Yeah, so...
It's Mathare North?
Yeah, Mathare North.
Uh-huh.
So when we got home, finally, my mom told me, I want you to wake up tomorrow and take the keys to the hardware in Mathare North. And I want you to be opening that hardware store. every day at 6 o'clock, I want that hardware store open, and you close at 6 in the evening. So I was like, man, you know, why don't you just put a bullet through me, you know, and just make it easier, you know? Because, you know, I'm still a youngin', you know what I mean? I'm not used to this kind of lifestyle. She could easily take me to Makini Herbal Clinic, you know, and I do administration, I sign cards there.
And Makini Herbal Clinic was there at the time?
It was there in full force, you know. So I knew this is punishment. But then I said, because at the end of the day, you know, like, she feels that's the right punishment for me. I said, cool, you know, like, it could have been worse, you know. And at that time, I'm still now contemplating what school she's going to put me in. I was just like, Mango Boys, here I come, you know. And a person like me, I wasn't one to be put in a boys' school only. I always needed to see women just to, you know, motivate me, even my studies, you know. But then me being put in a boys' school only was murder, bro. So I'd go to this hardware store. I'd wake up at 5. I have an uncle of mine, is called Mbua. Mbua is the one who actually even saw my dad till the very last breath, you know.
Can I ask how was your relationship with your dad?
Yeah, we're
that's okay.
Yeah, we're very close, very tight, you know. He always used to come through for me, you know what I mean? But he used to give me tough love, of which at that time I never used to understand. Tough love, I mean, he used to tell me, I don't want to see you in the neighbor's house, you know. I don't want to see you actually outside this compound, you know. I want you to study. I want you to, you know, break off for your lunch, go back to your books. If you did, say, science in the morning, I want you to do geography and maths in the evening. You see, so he had that tough love. But the reason why I say the love was out of this world, because each and every birthday, as far as I can remember, he used to buy me remote control cars. Each and every birthday. Each and every birthday, I used to know that next, I don't know which car I'm gonna be. So I used to park my remote control Motis there, you know. And he had that love, but then he had the tough love as well.
Yeah. Okay.
So my biggest worry was me being taken to a boys' school, you know. So I used to wake up, as I was told, excuse me, I used to wake up with this uncle of mine, Boa. We'd catch a Mathri, you know, from Langata to town. Then from town, we'd catch Mathris to
Mathare North.
Mathare North, si ati the matatu simamishes you right in front of the hardware store. No, you have to go in the inskirts, you know, ndani huko, and then you fika the hardware store. So it was basically like Escape from Sabibo. Have you ever watched that movie? Yeah, the Escape from Sabibo. Ilikuwa ni mateso bila chuki.
Yeah.
So I did that for four days continuous. In this process, my mom wasn't really talking to me. It was just one-word answers. Like when she comes, she'd tell me, hesabu. I'd be like, hey, tumeuza simiti bag 15. Kuna huyu jamaa alikuwa anataka fila, nimemwagizia itakuja baada ya 1 hour. Kokoto kidogo ndio iko na shida, kwa sababu sijui kwa nini kokoto.
That's crazy.
So, you know,
that was a good hustle for that age.
It was a punishment, bro.
Okay.
You know, it wasn't my liking.
Yeah.
You see, but you see, I adapted to it. Like after 3-4 days, I adapted to it. I said, okay, cool. And my mom told me, si umechoka masomo, aya fanya kazi sasa, utapambana na dunia. You know, so words like those zilikuwa zinaniingiza baridi, you know. So I said, okay, cool. If I'm going to be in this hardware store, I'm gonna sell these products to the best of my ability, you know. So one Friday, okay, to be sincere with you, I would work, you know, but then, you know, like my body would be tired because I would have amkad like say at 5.
Yeah.
You know, so by the time I get there, by the time it hits to 11, I'm already exhausted. When I eat lunch like this now is when, you know,
the 80s.
Yeah. When I take
Yeah.
I'm there maze macho zinajifunga tu zenyewe. So there were this carton boards, you know, where we used to put the msumaris and the storage room. So I used to put the carton box there, and then I take like a hoodie, I use it as a pillow. Then I tell Uncle Mbua, I'm like, ukiona tu yo gari hivi, uniamishe niendelee na shughuli. So I'd be resting, and then Mbua would be like, Ngechu, mother. Ndakuwa nimeamka kana nimeanza kuhesabu msumari. I'm counting one by one msumaris. 68,000, 69,000. So the old lady used to see that, okay, this guy nimemtesea kutosha. So that night when we were leaving the hardware store, she asked me, she's like, so what school would you like to go to? So I thought this is a trick question, and I told her, to be totally honest with you, you know, because I'm the one who messed up, shule yote tu yenye utanipeleka, mimi siwezi kuchagua kwa sababu sasa mimi ndio nimefanya makosa na nimekubali makosa. Sasa shule yote tu yenye I'm there playing goody two shoes. Brother, we're driving to Langata. She told me, so why don't you prepare yourself on Monday? We'll go to Braeburn and see how that goes.
You're like, what?
Bro, I looked around, you know. I was like, wait. I pinched myself because I thought it was a dream. You know, and keep in mind, we used to go to Braeburn for tournaments in Greensteds. And the lifestyle in Braeburn was just the bomb.
It was the bomb.
It wasn't a school, it was a holiday camp. You know, it wasn't a school. Bro. Truth be told, we used to go there. Their uniform for basketball was like the NBA All-Stars. They're there like sagging their shorts and everything, sneakers, Shack Attacks, you know, Jordans. No Atibata bullets, no nothing like that. So I said, kama uko na hakika na hiyo Braeburn basi, because you know I didn't want to say nitaenda Braeburn, and then she tells me something like you know. So I was like, ni sawa tu, hata nilikuwa nataka nilale mapema ndio kesho niamke niende kufungua hardware. She's like, no, that's enough already. That time, brother, I'm break dancing in my heart, you know. I'm like, yo, is this really gonna come to life, or is she, you know, like playing games? So my behavior, in fact, yani, it was now spot on. Ilikuwa safika kanzu, bro. You know, she'd come from Jobo. I'd be the first one grabbing her bag, you know. I'd be like, yeah, remove your shoes, nene. So that's how I ended up in Braeburn. I did the interview. The only thing that could have made me not go to Braeburn is if I failed the interview. But now, like I said before, my mzee was very strict when it came to academics, you know. So I go to Braeburn like this, you know, I'm looking at the environment. I've been there before in tournaments.
Yes.
So I got there, did the interview, I passed the interview. So now it was time to get me orientated into the whole thing.
And were you boarding or were you day school?
Bro, let me come to that.
Okay,
So, you know, right now, I'm just like, hey, I've crossed one hurdle. Niko Braeburn. So the headmaster at that time was called Mr. Jones. So Mr. Jones asked my mom, so, you know, you can fill this in. This is for the transport, you know. We normally have a bus to pick. My lady said, no, I want this young man to read. So for that reason, I want him to be a boarder. I had to pinch myself 3 times again. So, but you see, at that time, I couldn't show that I'm excited.
You have to even look a bit sad.
Yeah, yani, I'm like, ni sawa tu, you know. Umesikia Ngechu? Ni sawa mama, ni sawa. twende tuone vyumba ambavyo watakavolala dom sasa. Brother, I walk kwa mwendo wa aste. I can just see the boarding
block,
the dormitories closer and closer. Each and everybody sleeps in their own room.
Yeah, we had our own rooms.
Your own room, you have your own cupboard, you know, like, yani basically you're living a vida loca. I figured there, guys had all sorts of hairstyles, bro. I'm like, so, you know, I didn't want that excitement to show my lady kwamba. So I was like, na hapa unajua vile hizi room ziko hii kweli ni ya kusoma. Ndio Ngechu, hapa ni kusoma. Unaona, wamekuwekea meza, wamekuwekea sijui nini. I'm like, kabisa hapa, yenye hapa ni mama, ngoja uone report form yangu ya hii term. Akaambia, na staki ubebe sijui nguo, utachukua tracksuit moja, utachukua sweater. Yani alinipangia, you know. But you see, at that point in time, you know, also that book that my mom read, little did she know that I'm the one who was the author. You know, if she looked behind the book, she'd see Jackson Ngechu Makini. So see, I knew clearly there was a bag, there was a suitcase she's going to inspect. That's the one that I'm going to school with.
Yep.
So I took my my good clothes, nini. I set it up in one of my uncle's motis. I told my uncle, I'm like, the lady said, you know, you'll come with these bags to Braeburn. Because I wasn't going to Braeburn and be a Shags model. Imagine my lady wanted me to play basketball with butter bullets, bro. Zile ngoma zile. I was like, netting. so you
Not
know,
happening.
no way. So I took my sneakers, you know. I took my best gear, yani. But what she saw is not what I carried, you see. So when I figured Braeburn, unajua, like, guys came to welcome me and all that, you know. And they were thinking, hey, this guy, you know, he's got swag in him, you know. So most people wanted to be my friends, you know, especially the guys from Tanzania. You know?
Yes, because Braeburn had a lot of people from Tanzania.
It had a lot of Tanzanians. So.
And what year is this?
This was like what?
97?
This was around 97. 97, yeah. 97, 96 hapo.
Okay.
So, mi bado unajua ni mgeni Braeburn, unajua, and Braeburn, you know, like the ladies there, they could wear anything as long as it's blue. So it could be a short skirt as long as it's blue. So basically, I used to be in a school, but I was in a rave for the whole term because there was no restrictions there. So I pushed through the whole week, you know. Again, you know, like there were people who, a lot of people loved music and they loved basketball. So it was easy for me to blend in with the people there. Now on Friday, I saw a group of students piling up. So, you know, like, I'm like, okay, what's do we have on here? Yeah. So I walked there, nikaenda. I looked, there was like on the notice board, there was, they were writing names. So I asked this friend of mine, he was Ugandan. I asked him, I was like, Marvin, what are these names for? He's like, oh, that's for going to shopping, you know, like, we're going to Sarit. Nikasema, excuse me, we're going where? How? We're going with the bus. Oh, you didn't know? Nikamwambia, no, I didn't know. Nikamuliza, do I need to call my folks for authority? He's like, no, just put your name there and, you know, like, that's all you have to do. Iyabadabado. Ngechu. Meet the Ngechu. Brother. Nilienda kwa room, nimesha seti jina hapo. Nasema, so, you guys are coming to Sari tomorrow, right? Mbaka jamaa alikuwa ananiangalia zile za, look at this shaukalistic. Of course, we put our names there, we're going to be there. So, I was like, yani, hii kweli, hii Mungu wangu wache itwe Mungu. Because, keep in mind, me and you, Mango boys, here I come.
Yeah.
I'm in this school, you know, like, everything is kosher. You know, GCSE system is not really at rocket science, you know, so, and then we're going for trips to Sarit Center, Village Market, Sijui Yaya Center. I was like, hey. So that's how I ended up in Braeburn.
That's crazy.
And you know, Braeburn was the whole 9 yards because, like I said again, you know, when it came to academics, like I held my own. I loved basketball and I loved rap music. So as now time went by, I finished my O-levels in Braeburn.
When did you finish?
98.
98.
Yeah, 98. So when I finished my O-levels, you know, like it was a tradition. If you're in a GCSE school,
Prom.
yeah, prom, and then after like say maybe 6 months you go
Fly out.
abroad. Yeah.
Fly out.
But now I was still living in Langata when I was done with my O-levels. So my mom sent me to these computer classes. You know those packages of Windows. I'm like, Ma, I did this in Greensteds. You remember that school where I got expelled? We did this Windows. In Braeburn, you remember that holiday camp you put me into? We did this same thing. So you taking me to IIT is a waste of time, you know, and I'd rather you just give me something else rather than do computers. So she told me, she's like, okay, cool. In that case, you know, because Makini Herbal Clinic is countrywide. You understand? So my mom used to travel each and every day of the month.
Yo.
You know, so on the 4th, she'll be in Nakuru attending to patients. On the 5th, she'll be in Kisumu. 6th, she'll be in Kakamega, and so on and so on and so forth. So she told me, she's like, okay, so you want to work, right? I told her, yeah. She's like, okay, cool. So you'll come for these trips with us. I'm like, okay, here we go again. Because those trips were not really much fun, considering the age that I have. And the only time that I had freedom was when she travels, because I know once she leaves on the 4th,
I'm good.
she ain't coming back up until the 10th, you know. So that's when I enrolled into Makini now. I used to work like, you know, I was the guy who was receiving patients and, you know, like registering them with Makini Herbal Clinic, like consultation fees and all that.
Yeah.
So as time went by, you know, like I said before, whatever I do, I normally give it my level best. You know, like I don't second guess it, you know. Even if I was to wash a toilet, I would wash this toilet to the best of my ability, especially if washing that toilet is what's bringing bread on the table. So my first salary was 5K, you know.
This is like 99.
This is like 99 now. My first salary was 5K, and I used to look forward to end month, you know, because that 5K, I'd save. And then, you know, like I had official clothes. Yani, like now I was a proper employed youngin. And not that because ni kazi ya madangu ama ya budangu, you know, I had to follow all the rules, you know. So one time we were coming back from the trips, you know.
Yeah.
And we used to were in that Air Force One, you know. So my mom said, Ngechu, you know, I think these safaris, I think you need to be in the head office. You know, forget the safaris, me, I'll do the safaris with the rest of the team. But now from now, you can be in the head office. So I told her, oh, okay, fine. You know, I had this facial expression, which you know, I can't show her that yabba dabba do side. So I'll be like, yeah, no problem. You know, I see now Swasi. Then we had a Honda. My mom had a Honda that was parked in the compound in Langata. So she goes like, and you know, now that you're working and everything, I think you can take that Honda and make it yours. Brother, this Honda was a Honda Integra. It was any young man's dream car because the lights used to pop up.
Yep.
So I'm like, yo, kwani maze, what dream is this that I mean that is not really siamki kwa indoto, you see? So the car, because it had been parked for quite some time, like I had to do one or two things here and there to put it back on the road.
Yeah.
And of course, she helped me with the finances and the money that I used to save also. I started souping up that car, you know. And then slow but surely, you know, they started going for the trips. I started being in the head office, which is in Globe Roundabout.
Yeah, Globe, yeah.
And then, you know, my old lady was always full of surprises. She said, you know, I think we've stayed in Langata for too long.
Ooh.
So I'm like, where were you thinking? I was like, where were you thinking maybe we should move, you know? She's like, there's some houses that I saw around Lavington. I'm like, La what? Lavington. Bro, I didn't sleep that night. So nikisikia kibonga na marafiki zake nasikia, hey, hizi nyumba ni nzuri, hata zina swimming pool. I'm like, swimming, what? You know? I'm like, hey, uyu Mungu, maze. At this rate, maze, I'm even speechless. So the next day, true to our word, we got up. We started, like, you know, house hunting. You know, we saw a couple of houses here and there. Then that's when we moved to Kasabi. I saw Kasabi like this. I just fell in love, bro. Kasabi was a dream come true, you know. And the lady furnished the whole house, like, you know, no half stepping, you know. Everything was brand new. We didn't take anything from Langata, you know.
Yeah.
So now that time I was with my cousin Raja.
Ray J. Yeah.
So she told me, and Ray J, she's like, you guys will be living in that house in Casablanca. I was like, okay. I have a moti, I have a crib, it has a swimming pool, and then I had a chef, of which you know about my chef.
Yeah.
He was called Vincent. He could throw it down.
A good one.
So, you know, the lady is like, she wanted the best for me in life, you know. So this chef was complete with the uniform. So even when I used to have my boys over at Casablanca, you know, my boys just used to say, ujamaa maze anaishi maisha jo.
Yeah.
I'm like, Vincent, tutakula chicken wings ama prawns? Yeah, you know what I mean? So, Ivo. Now at this time, like, you know, I had started loving music, you know, like music now was in my blood, you know. And at this time is when Necessary Noise, they had already started coming up, you know, King Shaka were there, you know. So because of my brother Firoz, you know, I was close with Nazizi, very, like, she was a sister to me. So because we wanted to be part and parcel of the music industry, we were the people who used to, sisi tulikuwa from Kono wakina Nazizi.